you start? Press that? No, you don't have to. Just override it. Just press that, right?
When you're ready.
When we're ready.
You got the other one ready to go?
Yep, I just have to press record.
I need you to unlock that door out there.
I need the key. Now?
Run, because you've got 2 minutes before she starts rolling.
What place unlock, right?
Straight in and down.
Right.
Just that
You know,
outside.
we got some future directions we want to do.
I'm opening the door now.
Bridget, there are 2 residents out there that need to come in. The 2 older ladies. Right, Albert? There's 2 out there, right? They need to come in if they're here for the CRA meeting. They can go through the scanner.
Just tell them it's open.
They were having too much fun with the sheriff's deputies.
Yeah.
Get the crunch, the crunch over there.
Where's Wayne? Have you seen him?
Recording.
Good evening, everyone. We are going to call the Southwest Deltona Community Redevelopment Agency meeting to order for Monday, April 19th, 2021. May we have the roll call, please?
Member Vila Vasquez.
Present.
Member Bradford.
Not here yet.
Member King. Here. Member McCool. Here. Member Sosa.
Here.
Member Ramos.
Present.
Member Hersberg.
Here. So we are going to go ahead and stand for the pledge, please. Before we begin, Commissioner King, Member King, would you like to lead us, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have one item of business today. We have item 4A. That is the Southwest Deltona Community Redevelopment Area, the CRA Agency Annual Meeting and Review of the CRA 2020 Annual Financial Report. Mr. Mays.
And the green light is on. Good evening. I hesitate to say, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Okay, members of the board. Had to switch my mind a little bit on that one. For the record, my name is Jerry Mays. I am the Economic Development and Ecological Tourism Sustainability Manager, and I'll be giving the report this evening. I'm very proud to be able to say that and not stumble. The board met in December of last year, and much of what we're going over this evening is based upon that meeting. I will be presenting the Southwest Deltona Community Redevelopment Area 2019-2020 Annual Report. From this point on, I will simply call it the CRA report. Based upon the base year valuation when the CRA was formed back in 2016, the total valuation of the area within the CRA of commercial properties was $51,486,555. As of year-end 2020, it had increased by $22,300,000 $361,305 to a total of $73,847,860. It's a very nice increase, which helps the CRA fund. At this point, the CRA has no liabilities, as the board had decided to pay as you go and use that basis on moving it forward. So we have nothing borrowed against the CRA. The income from the CRA in 2020 was a total of $222,271.79. For the city, that was $130,699. For the county, $88,418, and a whopping $3,155 in interest, totaling up to $222,000. Now, the total fund balance as of 2020 was $429,710.54, September the 30th, 2020. And that, we're using that date because that coincides with the fiscal year date. Right now, we have one major project that has started. We're doing a feasibility study with the River to Sea TPO. It has been paid for from our side. We've had one major Zoom meeting and interchanges since then. And this is for the intersection of Deltona Boulevard and Normandy Boulevard. The cost of the study was $2,499.50, and the board had approved that on December the 14th of 2020. So that study is underway. We've had the initial meeting on it. We hope to have another follow-up meeting, and we hope to have that done, hopefully, as far as the feasibility study, within the next several months. Yes.
Member Ramos would like to ask a question.
Is that the study of the roundabout?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Deltona Boulevard and Normandy. That is the only expenditure that we have had in the CRA as of the end of 2020. And we were able to get it in under the 2020 because we did meet December the 14th, 2020, and the board approved it. So immediately we paid that. Achievement of goals. Right now, one of the big items we were looking at is the street lighting, imperative. Public Works has been working with Duke Energy. A study evaluation is currently underway. Apparently, at this point, it has been indicated that the annual expenditure for the streetlight district that we've discussed would be $53,313. Now, I'll make point here, that does not also cover the construction of it. It has to do with putting that in place, any new poles and that type of thing. The lap certification or contracting for lap certification is still underway in investigation. The council approved, the board, approved a phased sidewalk improvement of $10,000 annually. Public Works is reviewing that at this time as to which improvements are going to be done. A 5-year bus stop improvement plan was put in place for $28,000 annually. And the board approved a $40,000 feasibility study in conjunction with the River to Sea TPO for the feasibility study at the North Normandy curve for that correction. That has not yet begun.
Jerry,
Yes.
I have a question. The curve of the on Normandy Boulevard, is that the one corner of Saxon Boulevard and Normandy?
Yes, it is
Where
the
it
one,
turns?
it's south of Saxon Boulevard, north of Deltona Boulevard. It's commonly called Dead Man's Curve. It's the one where we have up the wooden and steel barrier.
Okay,
All right, to try and keep the cars from jumping the barrier and going into the houses down below them. It is a dangerous stretch of road. No one denies that. It's moving forward at this point. The approved projects report for 2019-20. Again, the 2019 budget was $20,000 for the ADA repairs on sidewalks, bus stops, crosswalks, those items. Nothing was spent on those. The dangerous curve at North Normandy, the feasibility study, was $40,000. Nothing was spent 2019 to 2020. The TPO grant for the feasibility study for the Deltona and Normandy intersection, which was approved December 14th, 2020, $2,500, slightly more, was spent. We made the deadline on getting it in that same year. Update projects report. I gave you a brief report already on the lighting project via Duke Energy. Again, $53,313. These are for LED lights, 11 underlit intersections, in other words, not bright enough. Construction costs are yet undetermined. We're working forward to getting a final on that. Staff does recommend this project. It has been approved at this point by the board. We do not have a final figure for it yet. The bus shelters, there are 5 total. 2 impede the sidewalk. In other words, the bus shelter, covered bus shelter, sits upon either totally or partially onto the sidewalk. Of note, we are looking to replace 1 bus shelter per year for the next 5 years at $28,000. The ones that impede the sidewalk will be the first 2 that we reconcile. In other words, so we are not blocking a sidewalk in the future. Again, staff recommended that project. The board has approved it as of December the 14th, 2020. Other initiatives. The first one is blight. The issue has come up and we have discussed between staff and board members in public meeting the 800 and 900 block of Deltona Boulevard. The consensus was that at this point, code compliance would be used to enforce the redevelopment, in quotes, of that area. In other words, people having to clean up their properties and everything that goes along with that. Staff had looked at the potential of abating or foreclosure on some of these properties. That leads into something. The particular 2 properties in mind that could cause problems are the ones with gas tanks. If the city forecloses on them, then we hold the liability of those gas tanks underground. So this is something we're going to have to be very, very cautious about. Staff recognizes that and reports the same to you. So we will move forward with this, but those 2 items, those 2 particular properties will be giving much, much closer consideration before anything is done. Other properties, if it's done, it's done. And the city can take whatever the board approves measures. Staff does recommend further research on those particular properties with the underground gas tanks. Staff would like to put before the commission, the board, old habits die, we would like to look at facade grants. This, especially in 800, 900 block and throughout the CRA, could help some of the properties come into compliance so they are no longer potentially code issues. We would like to explore establishing a grant program, $10,000 a year, for the CRA, for commercial properties in the CRA. I will emphasize that. Again, this will have to come to the board for approval. The county has indicated that when the CRA was formed, the county had indicated they would not approve facade grants and that type of thing as part of the CRA.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question? I wanted to ask a question to you about the business
facades. Can you just tell me what that, like, is it the landscaping? I know that it's painting, landscaping, right? And to improve a business is what I'm,
Member McCool, I'll answer that as simply, it's what the board decides.
okay.
If you say, okay, we're willing to prop a sign back up, we're willing to help paint a building, we're willing to do, things along that line, it's up to the board as to what that would entangle.
What does the CRA allow?
At this point, we can use city-sided funds from the CRA. Potentially, we could meet with the county again also, because I believe it was the city of New Smyrna Beach got approval from the county to use funds for a facade improvement. Have to look at that more, because it may only be New Smyrna Beach sided funds and not
Right.
county funds. So I don't know on that one, truthfully.
Okay.
Jerry, excuse me. And that, of course, is depending on whatever damages we're looking at is not covered by some sort of property insurance first.
Yes, ma'am, that is true. And I know the property you're talking of. Insurance companies sometimes take a very, very long time. We saw that after the hurricanes when signs were damaged, and it was 3 months, 4 months, 5 months waiting for them to do it. And the insurance company tells you mess with that sign out there and we're not going to cover it. So, it's.
I don't see that in very many other cities, that a sign is laying there for 4 months. It's a hazard, and I'm not saying this to you, Jerry. This is a hazard for pedestrians. This is a hazard for traveling, for anything. It is a hazard the way that sign is hanging there, and if the insurance isn't going to do something about it, and this is a side note, I don't support any CRA money going to prop up a sign. No way, no how. This would not happen in New Smyrna Beach, that a sign would hang there for 4 months. Just saying. But that's a side note on that thing. But I understand where you're going, Jerry, sorry.
Don't beat me up too bad. No,
It's nothing to do with you. It's just you drive by it every day. Commissioner or Member Vasquez, we drive by that every single 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
We will have public comment at the end.
Okay. Board Chair, again, this was up to you as the members of the board to decide, what's going to be done, how long we're going to wait, that type of thing. Again, here tonight, I am simply presenting the report for 1920.
Chair?
Yes.
And Jerry, well, at least to the committee here, I think it's a great idea, the facade thing, but it shouldn't be also something where we're paying everything. The business himself going to have some skin in this game. That's just my opinion. So let's take the sign, for example. It's not that we're going to pay for it to get done. They have to be able to have some skin. I worked on a project like this down south, and the business had to put a certain percentage in order for the city to then help. So I hope that we're not thinking of just, we're going to paint the building and the business owner just doesn't have to worry about it. We're going to paint the building. No, they have to have some skin in the game in order. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one thing I'd like to.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner King, and then go ahead, and then I'm just
Because
going
I know
to.
Jerry wants to do his report, but while we're talking about this, we have attorneys. Why can't our attorneys on this particular instance that we're talking about here, why can't our attorneys write a letter to the business's insurance company and say, look, we've waited in the city here long enough, and we're going to sue you if you don't get this taken care of with your client, because you're making our whole city look bad. Isn't there something else that we can do? And that's, I don't want to take away from Jerry's time, but that's something that maybe we should address with our attorneys after the meeting or a later date.
So before we continue with member comments, Jerry, you've wrapped up your report.
No, he hasn't. He's still going.
How much more do you have to go?
Still have 2 more note cards.
Okay, go through your 2 more note cards, and then we will take comments by the board, and then we will have, if anyone has filled out for public comment, we'll go ahead and go to public comment then. And tonight, our job tonight is to accept this report. And then it would be my suggestion, board members, that we schedule another CRA meeting in the next 3 months give staff some direction, and then come back, because this isn't going to linger like it did in the past. Carry on, Jerry. Sorry.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
if I can provide some clarification on the sign in question that is toppled over, we are taking code enforcement action on that to get compliance or removal. So that is in the process already. I just want to let that be known.
Thank you.
At this point, we had talked about the covered bus stop. Staff would also like to do a request for interest for the benches. That contract will be coming up sometime soon, and we'd like to go ahead, and of course it will affect the CRA. It'll actually affect the entire city, but we'd like to go ahead and start that process also. One area that is worth mention here is in the commercial area. New development and redevelopment has been restricted greatly, simply because of one major factor. The city does not have the utilities in those areas. There is a stretch between Enterprise Boulevard going south on Deltona Boulevard, and then we have the commercial area on the north side of Saxon between North Normandy and I-4, and there is no sewer in those areas. We have repeatedly tried, but we cannot get businesses to come into those areas. We end up turning businesses away from our CRA, which defeats the entire purpose of the CRA. Staff will be asking for approval and expenditure of $150,000 for study and design commercial sewer into the Enterprise Road area initially. We still may be able to salvage a transaction that was planned for that area. If not, we will get someone new to come in at that spot. But nothing will be happening in those areas, some of the worst blighted areas that we have in the city and in the CRA. So this is something we will be bringing forward to the commission. CRA projects non-use of CRA funds. In other words, projects within the CRA that do not use CRA funds. Illuminated crosswalks at 3 locations. On Deltona Boulevard by the Travel Lodge, people crossing over Deltona Boulevard to get onto the McDonald's, Waffle House side and to come back. Deltona Boulevard up at Hemingway, which is a crosswalk over to the west side in an area of high-density residential. And Deltona Boulevard at Balsam. And at this point, the funds of expenditure were grant funds. I believe most of those came from the state.
And the TPO.
And, okay, thank you. Deltona Boulevard, as one of our major thoroughfares, especially within the CRA, we would like to start the planting of trees to help mitigate the heat island effect in paved areas alongside the streets. And along Deltona Boulevard, we don't have mediums in the center that can be utilized, but there are areas where we can use this to where when the sun bakes down on the asphalt, it generates a tremendous amount of heat, and that's part of the warming that we go through. Funds from the tree fund would be used for this. Ladies and gentlemen of the CRA Board, that finalizes my report on the 2019-2020 CRA report.
Wonderful, thank you, Jerry. It's a great report. Commissioners or board members, do you have any comments? Yes, ma'am. Member Vasquez?
Oh, thank you.
And then Member Sosa.
Thank you. So we talk about the buffer trees, and you talk about the two businesses that need to be looked into more details. There is one area that I spoke to Mr. Peters about. There is a bus stop, and it crosses from one side of the bus stop to the other side, which is, I think it's a daycare center that ties up into the Deltona Plaza,
All right.
right? So there is no crossing information there. There is no crossing, I think, anything there to help anyone cross the street when they get off the bus. And I think that we need to look at that again, just to make sure. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because while I was coming down Deltona Boulevard, somebody that was getting off the bus was trying to cross over and just ran from one area to another.
Just to confirm, this is, let's say, a bus that is headed basically north on Deltona Boulevard that stops and lets children out, and they lets them out on the east side, and then they have to find their way across Deltona Boulevard
Yes.
to the
Yes.
west, which is where the daycare center is.
Correct.
Okay.
And I might have missed it, but can we double-check that section to see if there is something there
Absolutely.
to assist someone crossing? I know we did it for where the post office is. I saw the lines that were painted, so that's a good thing. Mayor, I have a chair of the board. Are you saying that, because I would like to make a motion to accept this report, if it's acceptable?
Yes, I mean, Member Sosa is going to speak as well, but if you want to make a motion and then go, and then Member Sosa can speak.
Thank you. So I hereby accept the Southwest Volusia Community Redevelopment Area 2020 Annual Financial Report and transmit the 2020 Annual Financial Report to the county and the State Department of Economic Opportunity. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections of scrivener's errors and the like.
Second.
Scrivener.
Okay, that's properly moved by Member Avila Vasquez and seconded by Member Ramos. Member Sosa?
Yeah. Hi, Jerry. A couple quick questions. For the sewer lines, or the lack thereof, that you want to do the $150,000 study on, how many commercial properties are we looking at affecting there? I mean, I'm trying to envision the area of going from Enterprise to the intersection of Deltona. I mean, I know they've got the middle school. Are we on that side of the road, or are we going over where the muffler man is that jumps to I-4? Because it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of commercial real estate in that area.
It would basically cover all commercial in that area that is not currently on commercial sewer. So that potentially could be from the former Sun Trust, which is now an
Melheim's.
insurance office. Okay, coming down, Justin Plaza.
Cigar Hustler?
Yeah, everything going south until we hit, again, southward commercial sewer, both sides of the road. For both sides of the road, with the actual redevelopment being that major area of concern at Enterprise Road and Deltona Boulevard.
Jerry, if I can jump in here. If you go north from Enterprise on Deltona Boulevard, we would have both a force main and a gravity sewer that would go to, I call it the hole beside the convenience store. We would have a lift station at that location. Then the gravity sewer would continue to the north to the church property. We would have a series of laterals going across Deltona Boulevard to pick up Justin Plaza, the three houses, and the church at the corner. That would be the northern part of it. The southern part of it, we would probably have both a gravity sewer and a force main once again for a short distance to pick up those people that are not currently on sewer. We have never done a study on that area specifically. I have hand-drawn it on a couple maps. The section on the other end of the CRA on Saxon and that area, that had previously been studied. So with this $150,000 study, we will have the information for not just Deltona Boulevard and Enterprise, but also over on Saxon, so that we can come back to you all with two separate projects to fill in the gaps of the commercial property, both up on Saxon and on Deltona Boulevard, that need to be on public sewer in order to adequately develop it.
So, but that area right now, that commercial base, there's people that are leasing that space, so it's not like it's lost revenue, right? I mean, Justin Square's got tenants. The other one right there at the intersection, Deltona Boulevard and Enterprise, they've got tenants. I think they're pretty full. So, I mean, how many properties are we talking about to bring on sewer that this will, you know, have a positive impact for? Because my big thing is when we start putting all the sewer in, if it's 150 for a study, how much is it actually going to cost to put all these sewer lines in?
The simple answer to your question is right at the corner of Deltona Boulevard and Enterprise is an old gas station. There was an inquiry for a drive-through restaurant at one point. It failed because of the lack of sewer. Right across the street, it's a church that, you know, rumors going back and forth as to whether it's available or not. Once again, needs sewer. Right next to it are 3 houses that are in bad shape. What prevents it from developing is the lack of sewer. And then further up the street, before you get to the post office, right across from the church, are 2 gas stations. One of them, it closed at this time. What partly is keeping it from developing is the lack of sewer. And then even things like Justin Plaza and some other sites in there, what is keeping them from redeveloping into something better is the lack of sewer, because once they come in through the process, they have to connect to public sewer. They can't go like the good old days and being on their own septic system. So, you know, I think I just outlined a number of properties that the development of those properties is tied to sewer, and there's other properties that the redevelopment of those sites are being tied to sewer. So we believe that once that sewer is in place, we will see significant change in the area that is much needed.
Mm-hmm. And just to go back to, you know, the distribution of funds for enhancements on properties, for commercial properties, I don't have an issue helping out commercial properties that are in need. I mean, I think something that the board needs to look at before we just start handing out cash is getting property owners, you know, P&L statements for at least the last few years to see, do they have money but don't want to spend it, or are they just, you know, within a small profit margin that I can understand why they're not using funds to, you know, upgrade their buildings. So I think that's something that the board would want to look at, you know, prior to handing out any funds. So.
Okay, thank you. Seeing as how there are no more members that wish to speak on the list, do we have someone from the public that signed up for this?
Albert Bryan, please.
Is it my understanding that no money's been spent on the CRA at all this year for 2019-2020 fiscal year? That just seems a little amazing to me, since this has been an ongoing CRA since 2015. It makes me wonder, has there been any money spent in the CRA at all?
Very little.
I mean, because I keep seeing and hearing the same thing year after year after year after year on this. And I've been here for the last 5 years. So it's kind of amazing to me that Very little money's actually been spent, and we keep hearing the same ideas year after year after year. Now, I'm all for adding commercial sewer. I don't have a problem adding the commercial sewer. Matter of fact, I would rather see commercial sewer added to this area especially, because it just takes one more thing off of septic. Now, I understand being fiscally conservative and everything else, but, you know, there's time and a place to spend money. There really is. There's also a time and a place to spend money on lighting. That area is bad with lighting, very bad. Let's get to work, people. Let's get it done.
Thank you, sir. Ladies, did you fill out did you want to come up and speak? Are you sure? I mean, it's public comment time, and I know you indicated before you wanted to, because we're going to close out the meeting after a vote. So if you did want to say something about this since you came for the CRA meeting, you can. Okay. All right. Then we'll go ahead and close the public comment for the CRA meeting. And we have a motion and a second to accept.
I'm sorry. Did you want to speak, ma'am?
I wanted to say something about the property that's being.
Okay, we're not on that yet.
No, this is the community redevelopment meeting. The regular commission meeting does not start until 6:30. And that's going to be probably a good hour into that, or maybe not. So we're going to go ahead. We have a motion and a second to accept the Southwest Volusia Community Redevelopment Area 2020 Annual Financial Report. I just want to make one comment. Yes, we have not spent money. And in this case, it's a good thing, because what Mr. Mays has brought forward to us is the fact that none of those areas on the corner of Enterprise and Deltona Boulevard are ever going to change. If you go down there, you've got 3 dead gas stations on Deltona Boulevard. They're not going to become gas stations again. They're just not. You have 3 of them that are closed up. And if you want them to redevelop into anything, a gas station doesn't necessarily need a sanitary sewer. You have a bathroom inside, you maybe have a sink, you don't have a whole lot. But anything else that wants to come in there, any type of a restaurant, anything like that, has got to have sanitary sewer. You've got to have it, and they're not going to come in if it's going to cost them a fortune to run their own line down. And not only that, we have stormwater issues there. We have tremendous stormwater issues in that intersection, especially in that church parking lot. It puddles and ponds every single time. So thank you very much, Acting City Manager and Mr. Mays, for bringing this report forward. I would please ask the commission or the board members that we request that the acting manager schedules a meeting in 3 months and updates us, because all this stuff has lingered on far too long. Are we in agreement with that, board members? 3 months?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a question.
I'm good with that. If they can do it in 2 months, bring it forth and hold another CRA meeting so that we can get, yes, ma'am.
I have a question, Madam Chair. I know that we made a motion to accept the report. Does that mean that any of these items that Jerry mentioned are going to start working on, or are there anything here that we should motion separately to get going?
I think, Mr. Peters, do you have good enough direction if we approve this report today for your staff to start looking into these things and come back to us within 2 months, 3 months maximum for an update and see where we are?
We should be ready to come back to you sooner than that, but we will definitely be back before 3 months.
Okay, is that good, board member?
So in order for them to start with the lighting?
That's already in process. The lighting is already in process, is it not?
Madam Mayor, the lighting at $53,000 a year was beyond my spending authority, so I would have to come back to the commission. Now, one option you could do, subject to the city attorney, is you could authorize me to proceed up to $53,313, whatever the number is, to enter into an agreement with Duke Power to provide the street lights as outlined in their study.
Okay, so let's go ahead and vote on this, on the report first, and then we can come back and address the lighting issue. So may we vote, please, on the report?
Oh.
Okay, motion passes 6-0 for the report. Member Avila Vasquez, did you want to go ahead and, if the board is comfortable, to make a motion to authorize the $53,000 for the lighting?
Yes, madam. I'd like to make a motion to approve the go-ahead for acting city manager to make negotiations with Duke Energy.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Can I, if you're going to approve this with CRA money as a CRA board, then you have to put it on your agenda and approve it there. That's where the final approval is. Because you guys are both, but you recommend to the final board, which is also you.
Okay, so do we need to make a motion to go ahead and move this forward to the regular agenda?
You have to vote as the CRA.
Yes.
And then you could vote to send it to your regular agenda and complete it.
Okay. Board member, would you like to go ahead and make a motion then that we move this forward to the regular commission
So
agenda?
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved by member Avila Vasquez, seconded by member Ramos. May we vote, please, to move the funding for the lighting forward to a regular commission agenda? Okay, thank you, ma'am. And please, if we can move that forward as soon as possible, maybe the next commission meeting. Okay, no other comments? We are now adjourning the Southwest Deltona Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. We will reconvene for the regular commission meeting at 6:30 p.m. And commissioners, please change your name tags.
Okay, but we're gonna have 4, so do number 3 is 15?